The woke movement, a self-destructive force in human society. The woke movement, while ostensibly aimed at fostering inclusivity and addressing societal injustices, operates within a paradoxical and self-undermining framework. By critically deconstructing the foundational constructs of human society without offering sustainable replacements, it risks fostering division, eroding stability, and accelerating societal collapse. Below is a deeper exploration of these dynamics. 1. Destabilizing core constructs while depending on them. Human society is built upon shared constructs, language, norms, and frameworks like humanity, gender, and identity, which are generalizations that allow for collective understanding and cohesion. The woke movement seeks to dismantle these constructs, viewing them as tools of oppression or exclusion. However, these constructs are not arbitrary. They have evolved over centuries to provide societal structure and facilitate coexistence. The dilemma of deconstruction. By undermining these constructs, the movement erodes the very foundations that allow society to function cohesively. This destabilization risks leaving a vacuum, as the movement often fails to provide replacements capable of maintaining societal order. Parasitic dependence. Ironically, the woke movement relies on the constructs it seeks to dismantle, such as free speech, institutional support, and societal empathy. These elements, derived from the traditional frameworks it critiques, are essential for its survival. Without them, the movement loses legitimacy and reach. 2. Fragmentation and factionalism. The woke movement promotes subjective identity frameworks that emphasize individual and group differences, often at the expense of collective unity. This approach exacerbates societal fragmentation and undermines the broader consensus necessary for stability. Identity over integration. By encouraging people to identify primarily with increasingly niche groups or identities, the movement fosters division rather than fostering a sense of shared humanity. This fragmentation leads to social polarization, as groups become isolated within echo chambers and hostile to differing perspectives. The risk of escalating conflict. Fragmented societies are prone to internal conflict. Without a unifying framework to bridge divides, the potential for unrest, distrust, and breakdown increases. The focus on subjective realities over shared experiences further amplifies these tensions. 3. Rejection of shared reality. Language and collective agreement form the basis of human society's ability to function. These shared frameworks enable humans to define common goals, values, and structures. The woke movement, in its attempt to deconstruct these shared realities, inadvertently risks erasing the common ground required for cooperation and understanding. The consequences of relativism. When definitions of core concepts like truth, ethics, or even humanity are constantly redefined, society becomes unmoored. The lack of a stable reference point erodes trust, coherence, and the ability to enact collective action. House divided. Societal constructs, no matter how flawed, are critical for maintaining order. By dismantling them without a unified replacement, the movement undermines the very coherence that allows for progress or reform. 4. Self-destructive feedback loops. Movements like woke culture often depend on the systems they critique. For instance, they leverage platforms provided by free market capitalism, free speech, and educational institutions while simultaneously opposing these systems as tools of oppression. Inherent contradictions. This parasitic relationship creates a feedback loop where the tools used for critique are also weakened, leading to broader systemic instability. For example, cancel culture's attacks on free speech erode the freedom that allows for open dialogue and societal reform. Erosion of institutional trust. By continuously criticizing existing systems without providing feasible alternatives, the movement undermines trust in the very institutions that enable social stability. 5. Misaligned priorities. While the woke movement focuses on dismantling traditional constructs and addressing perceived micro-level injustices, it often neglects larger existential challenges facing humanity, such as environmental crises, technological disruptions, or economic inequality. Distraction from universal issues. By prioritizing identity-based grievances over systemic issues that affect the entire species, the movement risks diverting resources and attention from pressing global problems. Weakened societal resilience. A society preoccupied with internal division and identity politics becomes ill-equipped to handle external threats, whether environmental, technological, or geopolitical. 6. The irony of constructed humanity. At its core, the woke movement often critiques constructs like gender, identity, and norms as artificial impositions. However, it fails to recognize that the very concept of humanity itself is a construct, shaped by society's shared values and frameworks. The redefinition of humanity. Trans and identity politics challenge traditional criteria for what it means to be human. Yet, by doing so, they implicitly reject the shared criteria that have historically defined human society. This puts them at odds with the very system they aim to transform. Becoming the other. In rejecting these shared constructs, the movement effectively alienates itself from a broader consensus, positioning itself as an adversary to the foundations of human society rather than a reformer within it. Conclusion: the path to collapse. The woke movement, rather than addressing societal issues with competence or pragmatism, operates as a destabilizing force with no viable framework for constructive progress. Its focus on deconstructing societal constructs without offering meaningful or sustainable alternatives amplifies division, undermines societal stability, and erodes trust in essential institutions. Far from acting as a reformer, the movement prioritizes emotional appeals and performative activism over critical thinking and genuine progress. Its methods serve not to solve societal issues but to exacerbate them, creating chaos where order is required and division where unity is essential. The question remains: will society recognize the dangers of this trajectory and reject the movement's destructive tendencies, or will it allow these forces to unravel the very foundations of human civilization?